Charlie Belfontaine, and you're listening to the Home Buyers Hour. Good morning, everybody. We're on WCPT AM 820, where the facts matter. And in the studio today, we have what I consider a very successful real estate agent. She's been in the business for over 10 years. She's with Dreamtown Realty. She does a lot of work when it comes to training. Um, and you know what? I didn't even ask to see how many people are on her team, but she trains other real estate agents. She works on as much as I've seen as professionalism as it can be. But she takes this job extremely seriously and understands the value of her reputation. Her name is Nicole Hajdu. Nicole, please give us a little bit more rundown than what I gave about you and your business, and say hi to somebody special, please.
Somebody special. So many people, right?
Hey,
So thank you for having me here, and hi, family. Hi,
there it is.
hi, my wonderful clients and family, and thank you for the nice introduction. And happy to be here. And yeah, I've been doing real estate for 15 years now, and
15 years. I
15
said 10. Thank
years.
you.
Yeah, no, but you were right. Over 10, definitely. So 15 years in. Started part time, as many of us do, because it takes a while to learn the craft and actually get paid for it, and learn how to have a consistent income in this business, because it can be hard, like times as such, right? With a lot changing in the market this January, and last January was so different. So I think every year, every one of us in this profession, inspectors such as yourself and attorneys such as Patrick, we always have to up our game and learn more. And I help, other agents do the same. And
And we're going to dwell
yeah,
into that. I want to know more about how you help the other agents and how you coach people. Because in our profession, in the real estate business, and this is except maybe for the attorneys, just because it takes more of a degree for them. And Joey, I'm going to ask you to see how people come and go. But I know in the home inspection business and the real estate broker business, people come and go all the time. All right, they enter, they think it's a quick money maker, and then they don't make money in it, and they find another job that they go with it. But before we get into that, Patrick, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your business, you, and say hi to somebody special.
Yeah, it's a bit harder to dip in and out of law given the 200,000 plus dollars in student
Exactly.
loans that most of us end up having to repay.
But what about the specialty laws? You know, like what made you decide for real estate? And when you first started, did you realize, holy poop, there's more that I need to know? I know I caught that one real quick, didn't I?
Yeah, perhaps you're paraphrasing what I might have thought in terms of the exact phrasing of it, but I'm glad you asked because my name is Patrick Loftus. I am a real estate lawyer with Loftus Law. If you were to want to contact this real estate lawyer, you could do so by calling or texting 773 632 8330. And to answer your question, to be honest, when I was in law school, I thought I was going to be a rich corporate lawyer when I graduated. And then it turns out no one wanted to hire me to do that. And so,
That's rude.
tell me about it. Tell me about it. So as time went on, I did a whole bunch of different kinds of law. I was a general practitioner, and it led me down the path of realizing that real estate law is really the one I want to be doing. And so,
What was the trigger that made you think that?
well, so my mom is a
Oh,
real
that's
estate
right.
agent.
Yes.
She was one of the first people willing to send me business. And when I saw that people were being handed checks at the end of closings, I was like, I want to do more of these.
That is a nice thing. Hey, Joey, what is it? You know, how much education and testing and stuff does it take to get into the mortgage world?
Man, a 20-hour safe MLO class. That's it.
That's
It's
it,
so
huh?
easy.
20 hours.
Yeah.
Yours is shorter than ours. I
Low
thought we were the
threshold, baby.
shortest. And then you still have to pass a test. How many people come and go in your business?
Well, this year, I believe it was a little over 50% didn't renew their licenses. So a
Wow.
ton of people came into the industry, obviously, for COVID because they saw easy money to be made. And all those people are pretty much gone. And the ones that are sticking around are are still getting weeded out. So, yeah, you can come and go pretty quick here.
Yeah, I watched the real estate numbers and I watched the home inspector numbers. And I know real estate agents, they renew their licenses November 30th of even numbered years. Please correct me if I'm wrong,
April.
Nicole. I did say that, April 30th of even numbered years, right?
I think you said
And-
November, but it is
Oh,
Yeah,
April.
if I
it
said
is
November,
April.
I was talking about home inspectors. Home inspectors are November 30th of even numbered years. Real estate agents are April. And sorry, mine said one thing and the brain said something else. We lost 30% of our population last month. And I'm still waiting on numbers today. My contact at the Idea PR was sick, so they started giving me numbers yesterday, but they weren't quite accurate, so they're reworking them today. So Joey, say hi to somebody else and give me the contact information from you and do your super secret disclosing stuff that you need to do, please.
Yeah, Joey Matthews, the VA Loan Nerd, NMLS 1330694. Hi to Omaira Rios, who is the world's greatest processor.
I love it.
She makes up for me being the okayest banker. So as long as you have one great person on your team, you can have one okay person. So
You're kind of unique with that. I mean, how do you find the great people where it comes to it? I'm doing a little, song and dance, I guess, over here just because I value you so much. And I know you're a little anal retentive, all right? And I don't mean that as a cut down or a disrespect. I'm actually giving you a compliment on that because I always try to tell myself, how do I set myself apart from my competition? And I kind of think the same thing for Patrick and even you, Nicole, and you too, Joey. What would make you special for that? And to me, it's, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's making sure those I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and there's a lot of forms that need to be filled out to make sure everything goes smooth. True?
no, for sure, absolutely. I cross every I and dot every T. So we make sure that our docs come in solid. So do I make Omaira's job easy? Yeah, that's my goal.
And
I
we
wanna
did
make sure
catch that, by the way, crossing your I's and dotting your T's. Don't think
Yeah.
we didn't.
What a stinker.
Yeah, I'm hilarious. My mom tells me so. So, no, it's really just making sure that her job is easy, because if her job is easy, the more files we can push, the more people we can help. And at the end of the day, the number one thing for me is helping as many people as I possibly can. And obviously them sending other people for me to help.
That's
right?
rewarding.
And if they're sending me people, absolutely. If they're sending me people to help, that means that they had a good experience, period. Right? So,
Without a doubt, it's the biggest compliment you could get, and it's extremely rewarding. And I know Joey was a fireman, like I was too, and I got into that business because it's rewarding. But then doing what we do now this is my 30th anniversary. Can you believe that, of being in the home inspection business? January 1st was 30
Congrats.
years.
Wow.
It is a wow.
So you got into this business when you were 19, huh?
9.
No, 9.
Because I'm
9.
39
That's
now.
right. He's 39.
Right. I'm
Amazing.
glad you guys remember my age.
Awesome.
And I was good. All right, like there's no tomorrow. So Joey, what's going on with the numbers? What are our feds are going to be nice, so that means our mortgage rates are going to be nice, and then the market is going to pick up, and we're all going to be super swamped. And
Woohoo!
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a really good year for in 2023. I was expecting Q2 for a real big pickup, but already this year. So typically in this industry, you see a pickup after the Super Bowl, because it's all holidays from Thanksgiving to the Super Bowl, right? This year, after New Year's, I started getting just loads of pre-approval requests coming in. So
Wow.
I think it's picking up a little bit earlier. Part of that, I don't necessarily know if it is a rate thing or what it is, but obviously rates are down a little bit from when they peaked in August. And of late, the most recent news, wages missed, right? So
what do you mean by that? They
Treasury-
missed.
So, oh my gosh. So
I know, hard questions.
I know, right? So when you're looking at inflationary periods, you would expect increased wages, but in this case, we are seeing not that. So last week, I can't remember what day it was, they reported they have expectation for wage. Sorry, I'm now I have to think about what the market calendar actually said. Wage expectations, and we fell short of what they of that expectation. So they anticipated people being paid higher wages, but
Okay.
that is not what's happening, right? So that led to a strong purchase market of the bonds, and as more people purchase bonds, the yields on them drop, right? The exact opposite of how the stock market works, because you buy stocks, stock price rises. So tomorrow is our big day because we have our inflation numbers being released, right?
Okay.
Our consumer price index. My expectation is that we are going to be shorter than we have been the last two reporting periods. The last two reporting periods, they came in 0.2% under what they were expected to be. I think it's going to be under 0.3, 0.4 maybe. So I think it could be a really good day for bonds and mortgages. And at the end of the day, what people are really trying to anticipate is what the Fed is going to do regarding regarding future Fed funds rate increases. Right?
And when
Are they
is the
gonna do
next one
another-
that they're going to talk about?
January 28th. So
All right.
that is when they're meeting again, and we will see what they do. But obviously tomorrow, which will be Thursday, January 12th, because you're hearing this on Saturday, unless you're watching live, is when we will see wage reports. CPI numbers get released. So, yeah, and yesterday, Jay Powell made some comments regarding the necessity of the Fed being politically neutral. So I think it got just conflated a little bit. So we saw a lot of sell-off in the bond market, but it looks like as of this morning, that sell-off is gone. So
I know that
Yeah,
our
good
phone
times.
it is good times. And I know that our phone was kind of ringing over this weekend. Yesterday was a busy scheduling day for us, which it was nice seeing this early in January, where it comes in there. It's just nice seeing that the phones were starting to ring again, which is a little bit earlier. But then I look at the graphs from what was going on last year, and I mean, we pinned, last year the amount of inspections that we were doing, and this year we're nowhere near close to that. What are you seeing, Nicole?
Oh yeah, last year was incredible in January. I mean, we were in spring market in January, and
It was
as
crazy.
Joey was saying, it's usually right after Super Bowl, and it was happening like the 2nd of January. People were like ready, and we had multiple offers. We were working with multiple buyers. Everybody was just wanting to get it done because they saw what was happening the year prior, and didn't want to be caught, and thought maybe they'd have a better opportunity in January when supposedly it's slower. And everybody kind of had the same idea, so it was extremely busy.
And it was
yeah.
slower. I mean, the last 2 years were just insane.
Oh yeah,
I've never, in the 30 years I've been doing this, I've never seen markets like that before.
No, it was low hanging fruit. It's just everybody was wanting in.
Until you wanted to get in. Then that fruit was hard to reach.
Then it was harder. Then some people
know?
gave up. Some people were still diligent about
And I'm
getting
talking
it
about
done.
buyers. I'm not talking about the real estate agents.
Yeah,
But
the
you're right.
buyers. Yeah, the buyers.
And it was hard to find a home for a buyer. I don't know. Patrick, did you have a lot of people coming and going?
Oh gosh, I'd have to look back at my
Yeah.
numbers, but the overarching theme of my business since, let's say, March of 2020, what happened then, is that a lot of what has happened is really without precedent. And I think we're still, although we don't necessarily think about COVID every day, we are still dealing with the aftershocks of it because so many
That's
levers
fair.
were pulled in the economy with them, with the Fed dropping the interest rates down to zero. Just some things that whenever you pull these levers, it's going to reverberate. And I'll use an example like Joey keeps saying of the Fed overcorrecting.
Yeah.
They keep pulling this lever harder and harder, but you don't see the effect until months later. And they have a hard job. Let's not make it sound like they don't know what they're doing. Their job is really hard.
Yeah.
And so they're doing what they think is best. Now, if Joey's right, then we're going to get rid of the Fed chair in his district, and we're going to appoint him the Fed chair for, I don't know what district he's in, but because it will turn out that he's smarter than the Fed chair there. So we'll see what happens.
Joey, you going to take that job?
Sorry, I had to think about it. I'm absolutely not going to take that job. Not a chance.
Yeah, do you realize how many mortgage brokers you're going to have making fun of you if you took that job? Because I know everybody should agree with you. I just don't think they will.
Oh, no, absolutely.
So fear of missing out, FOMO, that's always one of what I see as the biggest driver. And I guess that's why I kind of ask you, Joey, all the time about the rates and where they're going. And when I see them starting to correct, and I still, Patrick, I still laugh at this, and Nicole, I don't know how long you've been a homeowner either, but I go back to late 80s when we bought the first house, and we were at 18% interest, and then people are complaining that they're at 6. And I remember when it dropped down to 10, and I was so thrilled about that. I'm like, lock in now. It'll never get any lower than this. And then Patrick was just saying 0 again. Do you see that? You know, that FOMO is going to come into play at all or not? And that's to you, Joey.
I think I don't know. I think obviously there was a lot of FOMO this past year, and I think a lot of those people that had the FOMO are finally just like, all right, we need to bite this bullet because rates are coming down a little bit, right? We're going to have a refi market in the next year or two still. It's hard to tell or talk with a client that either has done this before and their first time they bought a house was in 2020. Because a lot of the people that I helped in 2020, 2021, if they were a first timer, they may be looking at buying again already, right? A lot of people jumped into something that they didn't love because they saw the rate and they wanted it because it didn't cost a lot, but it wasn't what they needed. So that's a big thing is rates, they come and go, and they will for the rest of your life, right? So I tried to make sure that people are just conscious of their budget. Be budget conscious. Know what you can afford, and make sure that if you're buying something and you can afford it, that you love it. Don't just do it to win. You know, that's what drives me nuts the most. But yeah, sorry, I know the question was about FOMO. I think
no, that's perfect. I wouldn't mind getting Nicole's take on that too. What you just said about winning or finding, and I'm going to switch Joey's words up a little bit, the home of your dreams. You know, I mean, that's the greatest thing about, you know, being an American or being in the United States is home ownership and owning a piece of land. What do you see on all that?
Well, I think a lot of these buyers are looking at, okay, what are the two factors here? It's price and what their payment is. So they want to get in and having a bit of FOMO, but at the same time they're looking at what their expenses are. And in determining if they're going to get into the market or not, they're looking at their down payment and what their monthly charge will be to own, to get into the American dream. And a lot of people are waiting for a better opportunity right now.
You know, when I read your bio, there was something in there where you talk about getting to know your clients, all right? And you ask a lot of questions and you find out who they are, what their expectations are. And I see how that relates to what we're talking about now, you know, finding the right house for the right person, for the right reason, and doing it the right way. And give me some examples. What are some of the key figures to where you're going to start looking or aiming your clients in that direction?
So I always ask, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish here?
What are some of those goals that people would give you?
Some of them are, I'm looking to downsize.
Okay.
Some people are getting divorced. Some people are getting married and looking to buy their first home. A lot of first-time home buyers in this market. And then last two markets, we were working with so many first-time home buyers, which I'm sure you've seen too. And, you know, being an attorney and in inspections as well, just overrun with first-time home buyers. And especially ones who were just more so renting than even living with their family, but actually renting and
I see a lot of that with the millennial group. You know, do you? As well?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I just ask what their goals are. What are they looking to accomplish? So, some music in the background.
Joey, I don't know if that's you or not.
Is that my kid? God darn. Sorry.
You're good. So go on.
We're jamming over here.
Yeah.
Nicole, you're the only one hearing that.
Oh my God, that'll make everyone crazy.
Oh no.
I'm kidding.
No, but that's all interesting. Keep going. What else are they?
Well, I'm asking, what are your goals? Because I'm looking at I'm a big planner. I do a lot of business planning. I teach a lot of agents to do business planning. You don't, if you don't have a plan and you don't have goals, like how do you know what you're doing and if it's a right decision, if it's a smart decision, if it's a decision that will get you to your end game. So I always look at what are we trying to accomplish? What is the risk? What are things that are deal breakers? Let's look at the facts. I'm always looking at statistics and facts. Okay, you think you can't afford this home, but do you know that it's just $25 a month extra to get a better home, a better quality in the neighborhood you want, the schools you want? So I break it down for them. And if it is a deal breaker, then I say, okay, let's talk about maybe in this neighborhood. Let me show you some things that are here. And are these factors deal breakers? Sometimes it turns into a different area, but they have to do more work in the house, or they have to do less work and it's a better area for them. So there's just so many questions that I ask on first meetings just to get an idea of what their goals are. And then I really work with them as long as it takes to accomplish that goals. Because some people will need to go back and say, okay, I need to look at my credit. Let me just tear this apart, get into it, really look at it, and talk to a lender and an advisor and get an idea of where I really stand and what corrections I can make to increase my credit, get a better rate, and maybe it'll all come together. All the stars will align and everything will come together because they've done the work. There's nothing that you have, in order for things to work out, you got to do the work.
No,
and you got to know
without a
where
doubt.
you're at.
So it sounds like you started, what is our end goal, right? And then we try to figure out a pathway to get there.
Correct.
And then, so like my end goal is I want to stay in Wilmette and I want to own one of those big mansions that's right on Lake Michigan and a rolling boat dock that I can launch my boat into.
Which lottery did you win
I
to
did.
facilitate this?
And Joey, you're just going to give me a negative interest mortgage to make this happen so that
You got it, fam.
I could borrow $7 million or whatever it takes to buy that, and I only have to pay $1,000 a month on the mortgage. You'll make that happen?
You know what? I'm gonna say no so I don't get sued.
Yeah, this is the kind of conversation that about 5 minutes in, you realize, this isn't going to be a fit.
Yeah. Let me refer you to someone. Let me refer you to someone.
Yeah.
So one of my big words is expectations, Nicole. What happens, or how do you work with a client who has, and we'll just say unrealistic expectations, or you're not going to get to that end goal? How do you give somebody that bad news?
So I ask enough questions to let them hear the answers for themselves.
Okay.
And sometimes that's what it takes. Other times it takes actually taking them out, having them talk to other professionals, maybe get on the phone with, like, I would say, okay, Charlie, who's your financial planner? Let's talk to your financial planner and come up with a plan on getting you that beachfront home, right?
I'm never going to get that home. I'm not leaving my little farmhouse. That's not going to happen.
Well, your
Marty
farmhouse
would
seems
shoot
nice.
me if I got rid of my orange refrigerator. And yes, I do have an orange refrigerator.
Nothing wrong with that.
I do like the idea of starting with a really concrete goal in mind. If you really just have vague ideas about, well, this is sort of where I'd like to be, or this is how much I can afford, it really makes it difficult to formulate a plan or even determine, like I think Charlie was alluding to, and also you were just talking about, whether that goal is realistic. And once you develop the plan, you say, well, is this plan workable? Yes, great, let's move forward. If no, then how do we modify the plan, or how do we modify the goal rather, so that there's a doable plan? And that to me sounds like a much better process than just starting with vague notions of, this is how much I can afford and these are the areas I sort of want to live in.
Right. And I think in our industry too, like when you're working with a professional who's actually done the work themselves in their own lives to reach goals that they've wanted to reach, we are better able to help our clients that way too. Saying, practice what we preach and show by example. Okay, this is what I did to get from A to B or A to Z. This is how I worked it. And here I am now. And here's some professionals, here's some partners I've worked with in the past, and refer to really great people who can collaborate and make that dream come true. Because as we know, it does take many people to make this happen. Nobody is ever, successful on their own.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Nicole, if you don't mind, if somebody has more questions about, this subject and getting to the end results, how do they get hold of you?
So my cell is 773-727-2199. And you can also email me at nhajdu, H-A-J as in Jack, D as in David, U, at Dreamtown.
And a phone number, please?
773-727-2199.
Terrific. Patrick, how do they get hold of you?
I really appreciate someone who says their name, spells it, and then uses examples of exactly what letter they're using, because I'm Patrick Loftus. Loftus is L-O-F like Frank, T like Tom, U-S like Sam. And yes, I didn't just make that up. I say it all the time.
I do too.
You'd think, that these are not long last names. How hard could it be? Turns out
They are hard.
Yeah. Try Bellefontaine, guys. I got F's and T's that rhyme with P's and S's and
you got an
N's
E.
and
You got an E at the end that
That
I don't
goes-
know.
yeah.
Then they want to know if I'm Italian or not because it ends in a vowel. I'm like, no, it's French. Don't hate me for that either. So, but I get it. Joey, how do they get hold of you? Sorry, Patrick.
Well, you can call or text me at 630-235-2405 or find me across all the social media platforms at the VA Loan Nerd or thevaloannerd.com.
And if you're not up at 6 a.m., if you're actually watching this either live or taped, there's my number right there. Right there.
Right, he is pointing to it. That's awesome. So,
Good job.
before I went around and I guess I had to put our company out there, Chicagoland Home Inspectors, right? Our website is www.thehomeinspectors. And I'll do a little spelling. That's O-R-S. It is plural, and it's a .com at the end. We also manage and own the Home Inspection University of Illinois, and that's the HIUIL.com. And if you're interested in joining the home inspection profession or you want to learn more about our trades, let us know. We'll do everything that we can to help you. Joey, we were talking about, preparing people before we went ahead and gave out our names. And I'd love to hear between you and Nicole, please, and thank you, about pre-approval processes. I see and the value of them and not just the value of them, but how we do it. I mean, I've seen people go, yeah, I'll just write the letter. And then they throw a letter at you here. You how much you want to be approved for? $7 million? Okay, here's your pre-approval letter for $7 million. And then their dreams get crashed. All right. Joey, tell me a little bit about, the problems with going that route and some other alternatives, please.
Yeah, so going that route, I literally am dealing with this today/yesterday. I have
No way.
a soon-to-be client. They'll be my client shortly. They're I'm not going to say what they do, but I know what their income is based on what they do. However, I'm still not going to pre-approve it because I need pay stubs. I don't know if they're paying child support. I don't know if there's maintenance. I don't know a lot of things unless I see it, right? So long story short, when I do a pre-approval, I'm not going to just give you a pre-approval, right? If you're just asking me to send you some toilet paper, go talk to a company that will do that. That's not me. So I want docs. If you are a W-2 employee, I want your last 2 years W-2s. I want your last month of pay stubs. I want your last 2 months of bank statements for whatever you're going to use for closing, right?
And
if
this is for
VA,
pre-approval. This isn't.
This is for pre-approval. Yeah, absolutely. I try to think like an underwriter so I can get ahead of like bumps in the road, right? And like what I brought out with pay stubs, if it's a state that handles child support or maintenance, you'll see those deductions on the pay stubs. And we have to make sure that we include that as a debt or a reduction of income on your application.
Or
Because-
as income otherwise if somebody's receiving it.
If you're receiving it, but you won't see that on a pay stub. You would see that coming through on their bank statements.
Okay.
But those are things that really matter because I have seen people come to me after getting denied, and I'm like, well, I can tell you why you got denied. I can't do this house for you because it got denied for a reason. You should have never been pre-approved for it, right? At the end of the day, it's really just a matter of not trusting lazy people. If you get a pre-approval without having even your credit run, which there may be people who do that. I'm not going to say who does, but there may be people who do that. That's a problem. You can't trust that.
No. You should see what I see, Joey. We're sitting in the room here, and when you threw out the lazy word, eyebrows popped up, and that it was kind of funny in its own way. However, the one thing, and I'm going to defend you a little bit here, we all know that there's good and bad in every one of our professions, right?
1,000%.
And yeah, absolutely. And for you always call the people that do a poor job lazy lenders, all right? And for me, it's always going to be, lack of knowledge for home inspectors and that. But Nicole, getting to you on that subject, do you get involved in getting people pre-approved?
Oh, definitely.
What do you mean? Well, you don't just leave it up to the lenders? And forgive me if this sounds like an ignorant buffoon question. Maybe I am. All right, I'd like to know more.
Well, I don't take over their job because they're experts, right? Joey's an expert
Not
in
all.
what he does.
Not all. I'm going to argue with that a little bit.
I love a realtor who knows enough to pre-screen, right? That's huge. It's
Correct.
huge.
I pre-screen because I do not want to waste my time. I do not want to waste their time. I don't want to waste my preferred partner's times. I don't want to waste other agents' times because getting into this business when you're new, you're so happy to get a client that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you want to see this house? Let's go. We'll take them to see this house. And then you learn that they're not pre-approved. They don't have money. They have no idea what they can afford. And it's just, you're running in circles and you're on a hamster wheel. It makes absolutely no sense. So especially when I train in my classes, I tell people the first thing you do is find out if they're pre-approved and then guide them in that process and why it's so important. Because I say, listen, you may think you're approved for $300,000, but if there's a chance that it actually works in your budget to be approved for a little bit more in the area that you want to be in, you're going to get a better quality house, have a better experience. You're going to have less issues with the house. Or if you're not looking for something to flip and you want something all new, something that you have to remodel and you want something brand new and turnkey, that's a different price point. So we really have to figure out what the foundation is. What are you working with? What are we working with? And that's where I then refer a qualified lender.
And we did get a question come up from Facebook. Do you guys do anything different when it's self-employed people? Do you need more documents? And Patrick, you giggled a little bit. Share what, jump in if you want to jump in, please.
It's complicated. Joey, you will know I have not borrowed money to buy a house in a few years, let's just say. But yeah, Joey, you could probably, I'm sure, elaborate about exactly how much more complicated it is when someone's not just working off a W-2.
Well, I have some decently good news is I love working with self-employed borrowers because so many people do find it to be complicated and I do not.
So I should be disturbed by
This guy.
He's an expert.
Why do you like that stuff? Share.
So it's not even necessarily that I don't want to say that I do like it. You know what? Screw it. No, I do like it. Right. And I like it because I know that I can do it. It's literally just knowing what you need. So I need personal tax returns. I need business tax returns. And depending on how you file your taxes, I will know what I need. Am I missing K-1s? There's a lot of documents that I will need, but it's honestly, it's still so easy to do. It's plug and play numbers, right? So
you have to know what to put in. And I think that's exactly a fair statement. If you don't put garbage in, garbage out, I guess is where I'm going.
I just helped a friend of mine who filed their taxes incorrectly, right? They were showing negative $30K in income a month the way they filed their taxes.
Nice.
Right? That's a huge problem. So
it's not a problem when you're talking about that person and their relationship with the IRS, but if they're trying to buy a house, that is a huge problem.
Long story short, I contacted their CPA and I told them like, hey, just so you know, you put this disbursement on the wrong line. This annual disbursement on the wrong line. So it did change their income from the negative 30K to the positive 30K that it should have been, which they were fine with because they knew they were going to owe for taxes. They came to me because they're like, this doesn't seem right at all. Why do I not owe taxes? And so I looked at it and I was able to help. But and I'm actually helping them buy 2 places right now in Florida. But so
on 30K income, I think we need to talk after the show, Joey.
That's
I
a
said
month.
monthly.
Oh, monthly.
Oh, monthly.
Yeah, 30K
Oh,
a month.
dear.
I caught that one too.
Monthly.
You know,
yeah.
that's not
Never
a bad
mind.
income. Yeah.
Never mind.
I
that's-
might even be
They're
able to
doing
get my
okay.
Lake Michigan house
Yeah.
there. Who
There you
knows?
go.
Yeah,
I don't
but-
make 30 grand a month.
But
I'll
that's
tell
great. You
that.
were able to look at that and see where the issue was, because I don't know if a lot of people would be able to do that.
I'm just a nerd. And I know I say the VA loan nerd, but I'm just generally a nerd. If I screw something up once, I never screw it up again. And in the past, I have screwed things up, and I learn. I always learn from my mistakes, and that's part of my mantra for my team. You're allowed one mistake, but don't repeat it.
You know, it reminds me, this was something I was going to say before Charlie reminded us that we should mention who we are. Experience matters. And
does.
so,
Yeah.
you know, all of these stories, Joey, that you tell, Nicole, that you can tell Charlie, me, it is, the takeaway should be that, wow, these people have a lot of experience and they've seen a lot. And I see new stuff all the time. And that's the crazy thing is, as much as I've seen, as much as I've dealt with, as many things as I can spot and identify, there's always something new coming down the pipe.
Nicole does
Yes.
training for Dreamtown Real Estate, or is it Dreamtown Realty? Is that the proper way to say it?
Dreamtown Realty.
Dreamtown
think
Realty.
about
I
that for a
apologize. And I do training as well for home inspectors, and I share all these, and I don't know if this is a word or not, but I'm going to call buffoonic, type of mistakes that I have made.
I like it.
That sounds like
In
a
the
plague
past.
from like the medieval times.
I know,
the
right? I'm grinning
buffoonic
because I'm
plague.
loving it so much, But I share all the dumb things that I've done in the past. Everything
Oh, yeah.
from, like steep roofs. I want to walk a roof, so I get up there, and I'm on this, like 8, 12, 10, 12 pitch roof. It's super steep. And I'm sitting up on the edge there. It's like, now what? How am I going to get down? And I got to do the old butt scooch, and I'm afraid I'm going to come down with buttless chaps on my pants because I'm worn away on the roof and that. I've been scared a few times like there's no tomorrow. But I guess that's the same thing. Do you do that with the agents that you're trying to bring in here? You share? I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know we all make mistakes. I'm not trying to be critical, but do you own up to them and share them?
I own up to a lot.
Can I
I've learned
get
that
you to
life
do
is
one
so
now?
much better when you own up to your, Yeah, it's
Give
just
us some of the big ones, or one of the big ones. I'm sorry to do this to you.
Oh my goodness.
You're next. Don't worry.
Well, see, here's the thing. My professional malpractice insurance carrier will not allow me to share any of those, and
lucky you.
even if they would allow me, that could affect my premiums in the future. So I take the fifth.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness. All right.
smart. I think there's a few times in the beginning where I just kept going out with people. I mean, like 50 houses later, like that's
5-0.
5-0. Like that was early on, right? I don't do that anymore.
It's almost like being in the entertainment business at that time
yeah,
without
audition
getting paid.
after audition after
Yeah.
audition and not getting a part, right? And
Yeah.
it was just too much. But you just feel like, oh God, I put all this time and I've invested all this time, and you believe in them, but you know what? It's about setting expectations, educating, and knowing our craft, putting in our skill sets and putting that all together to have an honest conversation with them. Saying, hey, this is not working, so let's change the plan, or this is not a good fit.
What are some of your
And-
triggers to know that somebody's ready to buy, or if they just want to go?
Looking,
Well,
shopping,
yeah.
window
Tour.
shopping. Yeah,
What
tour.
was going through my house was decoration ideas. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
that happens.
So asking the questions in the beginning, like I even ask, how motivated are you on a scale to 1 to 10? How motivated are you? Give me a number. And what happens if you don't find a house? What does this mean for you? Oh, it means that my daughter can't go to college in the area. This literally happened. They were moving to have it be an easier commute for their daughter for college. And we actually went through
Admirable.
3 different contracts because they also had a daughter that was getting chemo treatment and was in a wheelchair. So it was very specific, and the house had to be very specific. I knew they were going to buy, but that was something where we went through 3 deals, and I knew that they were going to buy. They had a need. So you find out the client's need. But in the very beginning, you're running around just like happy to be there and like show houses, and you're like, oh, this is going to be my deal, and then it's not.
Now, when you're saying in the beginning, are you talking about the beginning of the relationship with the new client, or are you talking about beginning of your career?
Beginning of my career and most real estate agents' careers.
And that because it goes back to what Patrick was saying, right? Knowledge, education, experience.
Experience.
Yeah, you develop an intuition for these sorts of things. Even if you can't quantify it, you can just, your gut will tell you. And listen, listening to your gut is probably one of the best bits of advice you could ever take.
I had a real estate agent working with a client, and he used, I think it was 17 showings that they did with this client, and they hired us. We did the inspection, and there was a lot going on in the house. All right, and he basically told our client that, listen, you could live with that. That's nothing. $50. We'll get it fixed. Everything's minor. They moved in. The clients were upset, not with us. We were pretty accurate with everything that they did, but they hated that real estate agent. They went online, they started doing bashing. They called us, and it's like, I honestly, don't like misleading people. I hate it. It's a big deal to me.
Yeah, because something that's not a big deal for us is a big deal for someone else.
Absolutely.
And you can't make light of that, and you have to keep the respect there and the understanding. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
that's
is
where
their lives. They're counting on us. So, for example,
their families' lives.
Yeah.
And I say, you make the decision. I'm educating you with the facts, and you make the decision that is good for you, that is best for you. And I always tell my clients that. I don't push any of them. The decision is theirs.
Let's go around the horn one more time, Nicole. How do people get hold of you?
773-727-2199. They can call or text, or email at nhajdu, H-A-J as in Jack, D as in David, U, at Dreamtown.
I'm gonna learn how to pronounce that name. I promise.
Hajdu.
That you take it that simple, it's easy.
Hajdu.
Exactly. Patrick, please.
Call or text 773-632-8330. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and enable alerts. Why not?
Absolutely. And do a search on Facebook for the Home Buyers Hour as well, and give us a like on that. That really helps.
Please like us, please.
Yeah, we're on our way to 1 million visitors. I mean, we've got a long way to go, but we're on our way.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think we need 900,000 and something. Who knows? But
Before you know it.
exactly. Joey, how do they get hold of you?
You can call or text at 630-235-2405, or find me across all the social medias at the VA Loan Nerd or at thevaloannerd.com.
I don't know if that's like elevator talk that I'm hearing on his voice.
That's my super slow talk that you warned me about from, I think, a year ago when we started doing this. When I was like, 630-235-2405, and you can find me, So, yeah, I slowed it down a lot.
It's a radio talk.
I like it. It's awesome. My name is Charlie Bellefontaine. Belle, F as in Frank, O-N as in Nancy, Taine. All right, and it's the name of the
Let me write that down.
is Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our phone number is area code 312-544-9180. Repeating, 312-544-9180. Our website is thehomeinspectors.com. And I don't really care what anyone else says. We are the best home inspection company in the entire state of Illinois, and I'll go toe-to-toe with anyone who wants to argue that one.
See, I think I would have to qualify. I think we've got some ethical. I can't say I'm the best law firm because then I've got the ARDC coming after me. But just like Carlsberg beer says, probably the best beer in the world. Different, but I could say probably the best real estate law firm in the Chicago area.
I'm sure you are. At least I think you are. That's my opinion, and I'll write a testimonial any day of the week. So, Nicole, getting back there, what do you think are some of the hang-ups, that you're able to educate clients and get them over? What are your roadblocks that happen?
I think a lot of clients, a lot of sellers and buyers are always waiting for the perfect time.
Is there?
No.
Ever?
I think the perfect time is what makes sense to your life, your lifestyle,
That's
what
fair.
you're trying to accomplish. I mean, I remember
That's very fair.
I moved during the pandemic. The first week of the pandemic, I put my house up for sale because I said to myself, okay, if I'm going to educate people in this in this business, and they're coming to me during the pandemic to sell or buy, I need to do this for myself.
The
Plus,
very first week.
first week.
I mean, when we shut down, I remember that the real estate market shut down for a good week until they determined we were essential workers, because Americans need housing. That's one of our basic needs.
Well, we were still able to speak to our clients, sign listing agreements, do all that. I mean, there was a good, I'd say 3 weeks where we were kind of like, don't do anything yet. Don't do anything. I knew I was going to put my house up. It was now or never, because I looked at my life and I had kids they were in high school, going into college soon, and we were outgrowing the space. So I said, this is the time. So right when we were able to, that first week out, I put my house up for sale. I had photographers in with like 3 masks on. I had stagers come in. We couldn't touch each other, be in the same room.
It was a scary time.
It was a scary time, but I did it with gaining education and also taking on an opportunity. I was saving and I was planning for those past 10 years to move. And this was the time. If you plan enough, you will know when the time is right, to answer your question. But you have to have a plan, and you have to understand what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, you're never going to know when the time is right, and you're going to miss it. So you plan it, and then when the time is right, you jump on it. And that's what I did. And I got a really great interest rate and moved into an area I probably would not have been able to move into without that rate, right? And it was the next step for me. So everybody is different depending on what their lifestyle is and what they're trying to accomplish. So I think a lot of the roadblocking comes in when people just don't know why they want to move or what they're doing or where they're going, and they haven't done the homework.
Now, do you have a lot of these questions, these interview questions already pre-written? I mean, is this a form?
It is.
That people fill out?
And I have my team. I had a bigger team, and now I've narrowed it down. So I have 2 other agents on my team and an assistant, and we have forms. And I tell all my newer agents, memorize this. That people are going to call you in the car, memorize this form, because you're going to be asking a lot of questions. And when you're asked questions, it's a form of coaching in a way too, because it makes you really think about what you're saying and makes you think about the answer. Right? And it makes you think about, like, wait, what am I doing? How am I doing this? Or how much do I know and how much do I not know?
You bring up a very good point. And this is something that I try to encourage also other home inspectors. You're going to get asked the same questions over and over again. Write it down. All right? That's my whole thing. And in today's world, especially, I think, the younger generation, I'm a boomer at 39. We weren't used to, all the stuff and all the technology that comes on today. I used a dial phone. I had a corded phone that if I wanted to have privacy, would have to have a long cord, and I would go to the bathroom and shut the door, and I would have to sit there for my own privacy.
Got the rotary.
Yeah.
I did.
I think we're all around the same age for that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a different world than what it is today. But it's write these things down and get to know them, and it's more of developing the processes and the systems, and that I'm talking about. And there's nothing that says you can't change it.
Oh, it's always changing. We're always changing and adding and taking things out, and because things change every year.
Absolutely.
Things change every quarter, really.
People change every year.
People change. I mean, look at how far your business has come over the years, and
yeah.
Things that you do differently, and when you're in inspections, how everything is a system.
In 30
right?
years, I changed our business name, I think 3 or 4 times. My very first business for home inspection was Bell Home Inspection. So it was like Beauty and the Beast, Bellefontaine, Bell Home Inspections. And I realized nobody's ever going to be searching for Bell. And then it was Charles Bellefontaine and Associates, and then finally now it's Chicagoland Home Inspectors.
Yeah.
So
you're
bringing back
it's
good
maturing.
memories.
It's maturing to 39.
It's hard to get there. A lot
for
of people
one,
don't make it.
I, for one, welcome our AI overlords that are going to come and do all of my work for me. And then I can just be the face on the sign.
Skynet.
I don't
The
actually.
What you're
face.
talking about,
I
yeah.
don't actually have a sign. Nicole, I'm really interested to hear that story you just told, because I don't think there's anyone else I can think of that really lived it in the way that you're describing. And I can only imagine that that must have given your clients quite the edge when they were in that. I hate this term because it's been beat to death, but in that uncertain time, it's really quite remarkable.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I felt like it was the time. I felt like everything was happening for a reason, that I worked so hard in planning, and then here's my time to do it and help my clients, and I put it together. And then I was able to say, hey, listen, I've done this. So there is a way to do this and a way to do it safely and capitalize on the opportunity that is taking place right now for those who planned well enough to take that opportunity on. Now, It took me 4 months to find a house, but...
Yeah,
I did.
I literally did the opposite. I was a week from putting my place on the market. I had just had it painted, was ready to go, took all the clutter out, and all of a sudden, you know what? I think I'm just going to stick around where I'm at because things are.
Uncertain.
I don't know what's going to happen. If had I moved forward, I wouldn't have been sure that I was going to have real estate transactions to continue. Now, in hindsight being 2020. I might have made a different decision, but I'm not unhappy with where we're still at. So
yeah, and people do what works for them and what's comfortable for them, and risk factors.
Yeah,
there's deal breakers.
It's a very courageous move on your part, in my opinion, having sort of been in the same situation.
When we bought our first house in, I want to say late '80s it was, and we lived there for 10 years. And we bought it for $100,000. We sold it for a little over $200,000. It's not so bad in 10 years, doubling your money and that sort of thing. But I've always, the 10 years that we were there, I never painted that house until I went to go sell it.
No,
Typical. Typical.
Is it?
Yeah.
Good. I'm not alone on that?
No, I got
really
my house
felt bad
perfect.
because it's like, why? I love this house. Now I don't want to move. And all it needed was a paint job. And it's amazing what a little bit of paint will do on the inside of the house to change how you feel about
Tell
that.
that to everyone
My
who's selling.
accent wall, ooh, sexy.
Was it dark red? Because that was in style for a while.
Style for a while. I
Was in
actually
style.
did that in one of my
Or like a
places.
hunter
Whole
green.
office in
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like a charcoal gray. It's,
Oh, see, that's nice. That's
nice.
classy. That's
That's
nice.
what I repainted to.
That's nice.
I think, what is it now? Something gray, agreeable gray.
Yeah.
agreeable
You
gray.
heard that color?
Oh, of course.
There's like
I recommend-
sea salt.
Yeah.
Sea salt? Oh
Sea
my
salt
God, I think
and
that's in there too.
Agreeable gray.
Are those popular colors?
Edgecombe
then?
gray. Yeah, they're all they're buyer grays.
Oh God.
Buyer colors.
And I did it on our new construction that we did on our remodel. We put everything in there. So, and I had no idea. I let my wife pick out everything, and I got to say that I was going a little bit batty and stuff like that. But listen, we are running out of time. We got less than a minute to go and stuff like that. So I'm just going to ask for, real quickly, give us your contact information and one fast.
Joey Fast.
Joey Fast. About
Early
just,
Joey Fast.
if you could tell one person one thing to be successful in real estate, what would you do?
Business planning.
Business planning. And your phone number again?
773-727-2199.
Thank you, Patrick. You too?
773-632-8330. Build a good experienced team.
That is key. Joey?
630-235-2405, thevalonenerd.com. I would have gone slower, but Patrick took up so much time right there.
I'm a lawyer. I don't do slow.
Sounds
Very
I
good.
don't do
deliberate.
fast. I don't do fast. Jeez Louise.
All right, my name is Charlie again, and I want to give a special thank you to Devin Tingle. He's our producer, makes everything happen. Another special thank you to Bernie, because I know he's sitting out in the driveway right now listening. I love you to death. This is the Home Buyers Hour on WCPT. Thank you for listening, and I am out.